Good morning. This is Devotional number 382. And today's date is November 28th, 2017. This is going to be the second devotional in this series on Naaman the leper that we're looking at this week in 2 Kings 5. And today I'd like us to focus on verses 4 through 6, where we read, "And one went in and told his Lord, saying, Thus and thus said the maid that is of the land of Israel. And the king of Syria said, Go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed, and took with him 10 talents of silver, and 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of raiment. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now when this letter is come unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman my servant to thee, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy." It appears that the king of Syria was either given incorrect information, or he did not comprehend the significance of, or worse yet, did not heed the little maid's words in 2 Kings 5:3. And she said unto her mistress, Would God my Lord were with the prophet that is in Samaria, for he would recover him of his leprosy. From a strictly unsaved human point of view, that this is certainly understandable. After all, why should this proud Syrian king listen to the counsel of the lowly Hebrew slave girl? So, following protocol, the king of Syria contacted his political counterpart, the king of Israel, by means of a letter, so that the king of Israel might heal the mighty Syrian general of his leprosy. And to ensure success, he had Naaman bring plenty of collateral with him, 10 talents of silver, and 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of raiment. However, the Syrian king, as is true of all unbelievers, failed to recognize that the healing of leprosy, which illustrates the gift of salvation, cannot be purchased with money or material goods. This is also illustrated in a similar incident in Acts 8:18-20 with Simon the sorcerer. And when Simon saw that through laying on of the apostles' hands the Holy Ghost was given, he offered them money, saying, Give me also this power, that on whomsoever I lay hands he may receive the Holy Ghost. But Peter said unto him, Thy money perish with thee, because thou hast thought that the gift of God may be purchased with money. There exists within the heart of man the sinfully wicked notion that he can somehow appease the God of this universe through his own efforts or sacrifice or ingenuity. In spite of the sheer futility of such attempts, man stubbornly persists, completely oblivious to the fact that God accepts nothing short of absolute perfection. Galatians 3:10 states, For as many as are of the works of the law are under the curse. For it is written, Cursed is every one that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. Ephesians 2:8-9 also adds, For by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. Also, James 2:10 points out that if we have committed one sin, we have broken all of them. And so this is the dilemma. For the entire 13,000 plus years from creation until our generation, there was no cure for leprosy. And thus it is a vivid picture of the sinfulness of man. Isaiah 1:5-6 teaches, "Why should ye be stricken any more? Ye will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores, that have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified or softened with ointment." The Hebrew word for sick in Isaiah 1:5 is translated as grief or griefs in Isaiah 53:3-4, really pointing to our sin. "He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted." We find similar language in Leviticus 13:12 and also in verses 14-15. "And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that hath the plague, from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looketh, but when raw flesh appeareth in him, he shall be unclean. And the priest shall see the raw flesh, and pronounce him to be unclean. For the raw flesh is unclean, it is a leprosy." The same word plague is also found in 1 Kings 8:38, which shall know every man the plague of his own heart. There is an interesting account in Exodus 4:6-7, and the background of this was that Miriam and Aaron, Moses' sister and brother, and by the way, they were older than he was, they were of the opinion that Moses was somehow not only God's representatives, but they were as well. And because of this sinful attitude that they had, we read this. "And Jehovah said furthermore unto him," this is Moses. No, I take it back. This is a wrong account. This is right before Moses was going to approach Pharaoh with the idea of letting the people go. And so there were some things that God had, some miracles that God had explained to Moses, like turning the rod into a serpent. And this is another one regarding Moses. It says, "And Jehovah said furthermore unto him, Put now thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh." Job 31:33 helps to clarify one of the spiritual aspects of this incident, even though a different Hebrew word for bosom is employed. "If I covered my transgressions as Adam, by hiding mine iniquity in my bosom." And Proverbs 28:13 reveals, "He that covereth his sins shall not prosper, but whoso confesseth and forsaketh them shall have mercy." And of course, this was during the day of salvation.